I found this earlier today, man. We have got to check this out. This is one of the fakest stories I've ever seen on fake news CNN. And let's get into it, and then I'll break this down.
CNN's Donny O'Sullivan got in the cage with former UFC star turned podcaster Jake Shields to explore the manosphere and why exactly it's so popular.
They speak liberal, they have liberal friends, and then they go online and they are a white supremacist.
This is Vera Papasova.
Clown.
She spent the last year dating far-right men in New York City for...
Boom, first red flag. Far-right men in New York. What? The actual fizzuck. No, you're lying. And you know what's funny about this is you could get away with these lame stories for boomers. They'll watch this and think this is real. But if you're going to do something like this, you need to have undercover footage. You need to provide footage that you went on these dates so we can see exactly what happened. Some woman that's a radical feminist, if you couldn't tell from that first 30 seconds how much of a radical feminist she is, like, dude, you need evidence. You need all that matters is footage these days. Nobody gives a shit about your stupid, like, made-up story about how you met 5 conservative right-wingers in New York. Bullshit.
Story for Cosmopolitan magazine.
They're the most insecure men I've ever sat down with. It was really difficult to have.
And if you can't tell, there's something really strange about this woman. Like, I don't know. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's the LGB maps person. I don't know.
These dates because they were so insecure, because they don't really know who they are and they don't know how to figure that out.
She said
So that's hilarious. Conservative men don't know who they are. Conservative men. Like, this is all projection. She's projecting so hard. A 35-year-old single radical feminist that can't stand, like, I wouldn't be able to stand her. She seems insufferable, man. But you fit the exact type that any man would get just to pump and dump. You are not something a man's gonna actually, like, try to date. I mean, look at you. You're so superficial. Everything about you. There ain't no way this woman was able to hide her. This is all fake, anyways. Like, she's just making it all stuff. She just hates conservative men. You can tell that she's, like, super radical feminist. She just hates men in general. And this is a way for her to get back at men that have dissed her and broken up with her and pumped and dumped her and used her for recreational use only, which she doesn't probably mind because she's a liberal woman living in New York that's probably seen Sex in the City too many times. So the projection is hard in this one, though, dude.
men she dated got all their news and information from the
Where's the
so-called
footage?
manosphere.
They did not listen to anything else. They're only listening to independent media, and they're only listening to men talking to men.
The manosphere is made
Look
up...
at that triggers this fake date. They only listen to independent media. Yeah, why would we listen to you guys, bro? Look at this. You literally are just made up this whole story. This is not real. Like, there's no way this is real. There's no way a conservative guy would even date you.
macho podcasters and influencers.
There's no such thing as an independent female.
Most women have zero concept of, like, money.
Females don't have independent thought.
It's a space where UFC fighters are among those who reign supreme.
They love the UFC guys. They love the MMA guys because those guys do what they can. They're modern gladiators. They're badass.
Badass.
Look at what this chick is, like, comparing normal dudes to UFC fighters. Like, do you see how deranged this modern liberal 35-year-old woman, going on probably 36 now that this has come out, a 36-year-old single, lonely, miserable liberal woman is trying to compare men to UFC fighters. Like, dude, bird brain, bro. Straight up bird
Like
brain.
Jake Shields, a former UFC star turned podcaster.
Alright, now I'm starting to feel nervous. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
who I met at an MMA gym.
American
in Las Vegas.
badass.
Like all great MMA pros.
Look at this is probably the type of guy that she really dates. A soy infused beta. Look at this guy, man. He reeks. His testosterone is being sweated out through his pores, bro. Like, this is exactly what she looks for. A guy she can walk all over, that she can control, that she can get to pay for all her stuff. And, bro, that's a lot of upkeep at her age. I mean, the Botox bill alone, thousands of dollars a month. This guy's got to buy her bags and shoes, too, probably, because she lives in New York and she's a socialite. She's got to keep up with all the trends. Wasting all that money on stupid, meaningless stuff that she probably sleeps with because she has no one to go home to at night.
I've never hit anyone in my life.
I'm not punching back. Hit me. No, I sit right here.
At least he got in the ring.
This is CNN. Do you miss being full-time pro, like in terms of?
You know, of course I miss it. To go from professional athlete, which is the highest of highs, to retirement.
And I
You have
guess
to
the
podcast has helped. You could fall into depression if you just go from the most amazing career where you're famous and spotlights to all of a sudden you're a nobody.
Sure.
Like other podcasters in the manosphere, Jake regularly hosts controversial guests.
And I named the podcast Fighting Back. I feel like we have to fight back what we're told we're allowed to do. I just don't like to be told you're not allowed to talk to this person. Like, why can't I talk to him? I'm not saying I agree with his ideology, but I should hear what he has to say.
He's hosted the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Today I have a very, very special guest, Dr. David Duke. I knew you're controversial, but I had no idea how controversial.
And Thomas Russo, the leader of the white supremacist group Patriot Front.
Let's go where we disagree a little bit.
Yes.
Let's hit race, because you're a white-only group?
So the organization only allows people of American ethnicity, and all Americans, I believe, come from Europe, so they're white.
The true aim
What?
of the American state.
What? Bro, what is...
Fight on!
Yeah, no, I understand and talk to these guys, but I've also not brought anyone hateful. If I do, I'm going to be really, really on top of them.
But so you saying that you haven't brought someone hateful on, right? People will say, well, you brought on a Grand Wizard of the KKK, you brought on Patriot Front.
Yeah.
They're hateful.
No, I think it's the
So, Joe Biden read the eulogy at a Grand Wizard or Cyclops at a Cyclops member of the KKK. Why don't they talk about that? Was Joe Biden allowed to go to the Cyclops funeral and read the eulogy? It's funny how they don't ever talk about that.
questions, but if people go and watch the actual interviews, I think they would be like, oh, this guy's not near as hateful as if I expected.
But Vera says hate isn't what the men she dated were really looking for.
One of these guys brought me to a political meeting.
And did they?
Bro. Bro, what? I've never heard a bigger crock of bullshit in my life, ever. Like, what are you talking about? What political meeting? Like, she's seen too many movies, bro. Like, this is literally bird brain on movies. Like, women have the worst imagination ever. You couldn't come up with something. She literally saw American History X. She saw American History X. She's literally describing the plot of American History X. Like, dude, you're just like Amber Heard telling the story from Gone Girl. You're a loser. You're a lame.
Talk about politics?
Barely. They talked about.
Look at
there was
that
a bunch
forehead.
of
Look at all
men
those creases.
complaining about girlfriends and wives.
Bro, that's like 200 injections in her forehead. Look at that.
Regurgitating Andrew Tate type of advice.
Botox queen
about
right
how
here.
to train your girlfriend, how to train your wife to be submissive. And so this group was supposed to be a political group, but they're talking about relationship problems. And the fact that that's what most of the time was spent on, you don't need to be a neo-Nazi. You need therapy.
The appeal of Jake's podcast speaks to
Please keep telling men what they need.
young men in this country that Vera says can't be ignored.
You have
Another feminist, radical feminist woman trying to tell men how to be men. Shut
incentivize
up.
someone to want to be better. You can't just say, let's make men better. The thing about these guys is their biggest support system is online, but That also is very isolating, and isolation is what breeds hatred.
Groups like Patriot Front.
What does that even mean? What are you talking about? Like, she's seen too many movies, bro. She's literally like talking about American History X.
For community, but community based on racism and hate.
People have to really think about, do you have the capacity to talk to people that you don't agree with? Because that one nice conversation you might have might change someone's day enough to not have to seek out help in an online support group, which is actually a bunch of white supremacists using political beliefs as an excuse for how they feel.
Everyone I disagree with is a white supremacist.
Tony O'Sullivan is here with us now.
Wow, that was the biggest just crock of shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, and women will believe this woman, dude. They'll believe everything she says, and because they want to believe this stuff. They want to believe these fantasies that these unhinged women have in their head. It's really sick, man. Like, and you know, that woman, I don't think she's even straight, honestly. And dude, a guy, obviously the guys had to be somewhat attractive, because some guy, she's not just gonna pick some guy and go out with him. They had to have actually fit, like, you know what I mean? Do you see two people together and it makes sense? If she was with this dude, no, that wouldn't work. You'd be like, something's up. So you know what I mean? Like, it would have to make sense to people. Or if she went to this white supremacist group, the very first thing they would do is call him out for bringing her there. You know what I mean? They'd be like, who the fuck is this? This is like just borderline retardation. I can't believe people fall for this crap. A guy's gonna know if a woman is straight or gay. Like, you're just gonna know after spending like maybe one night with her and she's doing this, and you'd be like, bro, this is weird. Especially, she seems really awkward. I don't know if it's because she's awkward or she's pretending to actually like men, and that's why it seems so unauthentic and awkward. But either way, let me know what you guys think. This was just like unhinged radical feminism set ablaze, set to set the world on fire. And we don't need any more insufferable women like this, dude, trying to tell men what they need to do. No thank you.